going to be a video about finding the derivative of the inverse trig derivative. In this case, it's going to be inverse sine of x right here. So we're looking for the derivative of y when y is equal to arc sine of x. All right, the first step that we're going to do here is I'm going to sine both sides. I'm going to do that real quick. All right, so the sine and inverse sine are going to cancel. And you end up with something like this. Now, to kind of give this some context, I'm actually going to draw this triangle really quick, just so we understand what sine of y equals x even looks like. All right, so we have this triangle here, and it says sine of y is equal to x. So that means the opposite of this angle has to be x over 1, because it's opposite x over hypotenuse 1. So sine of y equals x is demonstrated with this triangle. It's going to be more important as we move on with this derivation. And the next thing I'm going to do is take the derivative of both sides of the equation. If you notice, I took the derivative with respect to x because we are trying to find the derivative of y with respect to x. So the dy over dx is actually going to show up out of this using implicit differentiation. So I'm going to simplify this further now. So you end up with something like this. Now we're looking for dy over dx, so I'm going to simplify for that real quick by getting rid of that cosine y. And you end up with something like this, 1 over cosine y, but I want this in terms of x. And this is kind of where the triangle comes into play, because we can use this triangle up here to figure out what cosine of y is. And it's going to look something like this. Using Pythagorean theorem, we need to figure out what this base length is. And then the cosine of y is just going to be the adjacent b over 1. So basically, it's just going to be b over 1. We just need to figure out what b is. So using Pythagorean theorem, you should end up with the following. If you remember, the whole point was to solve for b, so I'm going to solve for b real quick. And you have b equal to the square root of 1 minus x squared. So you end up with cosine y is equal to b over 1, which is just going to be equal to the square root of 1 minus x squared. Here I'm going to put this in for my cosine y. And then now my derivatives in terms of x, and it ends up being the following. And you end up with the following. The derivative of arc sine of x is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. You're going to want to memorize this equation for any AP test or any other calculus test that you're taking. If you do ever forget this equation, it is really important to note that you can derive it by going through the steps in this. It's actually not that complicated. It looks like a lot, but if you look at it piece by piece, it's not too bad. It's basically just trigonometry and then some implicit differentiation and then solving with using a triangle. So that's basically the derivative of arc sine of x. If you have any questions about anything in this video, let me know.